Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day when he looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and you may all wash your feet and rest under the tree.
Ho, ho, ho!
Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then you can go on your way." They agreed, and Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and told her to quickly prepare bread. He then ran to the herd, selected a choice calf, and gave it to a servant to prepare. He brought them curds, milk, and the prepared food, and he stood near them under the tree while they ate.
Ho, ho, ho!
Then the visitors asked, "Where is your wife Sarah?" Abraham answered that she was in the tent. One of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing, and she laughed to herself.
Ho, ho, ho!
Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid and denied laughing, but the Lord said that she did laugh.
Ho, ho, ho!
When the men got up to leave, they looked toward Sodom, and Abraham walked with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said that he would not hide from Abraham what he was about to do, and he explained that the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah was great, and their sin was very severe. The 2 men turned toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord.
Ho, ho, ho!
Abraham approached and asked if God would sweep away the righteous with the wicked. He asked if God would spare the city for 50 righteous people. The Lord answered that he would. Abraham continued to ask about 45, then 40, then 30, then 20, and finally 10 righteous people, and each time the Lord said he would not destroy the city if that number could be found.
Ho, ho, ho!
When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. The 2 angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting at the city gate when he saw them. He got up to meet them and bowed with his face to the ground. He urged them to stay in his house for the night.
Ho, ho, ho!
At first they said they would spend the night in the square, but Lot insisted strongly, so they went with him. He prepared a meal for them, and they ate. Before they went to bed, all the men from every part of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called out to Lot and demanded that he bring the visitors out to them.
Ho, ho, ho!
Lot went outside, shut the door behind him, and pleaded with them not to act wickedly. The crowd grew hostile, pressing against Lot, but the angels reached out, pulled him back inside, and shut the door. They struck the men outside with blindness, so they could not find the entrance.
Ho, ho, ho!
The angels told Lot that anyone belonging to him in the city needed to be brought out because the Lord had sent them to destroy the place. Lot went to his son-in-law and urged them to leave, but they thought he was joking. At dawn the angels urged Lot to hurry and take his wife and 2 daughters so they would not be swept away.
Ho, ho, ho!
Lot hesitated, but the angels took the hands of Lot, his wife, and his daughters, and led them out of the city because the Lord was merciful. Once they were outside, one of the angels told them to flee for their lives, not to look back, and not to stop anywhere in the plain, but to escape to the mountains.
Ho, ho, ho!
Lot asked if he could flee instead to a small nearby town, saying he might not reach the mountains in time. The angel agreed and allowed him to escape there. The town was called Zor. After Lot reached Zor, the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from out of the heavens. The cities, the entire plain, all the people, and all the vegetation were destroyed.
Ho, ho, ho!
But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham went to the place where he had stood before the Lord and looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and the land of the plain. He saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. God remembered Abraham and brought Lot out of the catastrophe that destroyed the cities where Lot had lived.
Ho, ho, ho!